What's up, my beautiful treeple? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. So glad you're here with us today. This is Ask an Arborist, sponsored by Arborist On Demand, and myself. I am Matt Latham, board certified master arborist and registered consulting arborist through the American Society of Consulting Arborists. It's so many words. Why do tree guys have to make it so difficult? But essentially, I like to think I know about trees and I got credentials to prove it. We're here to answer your great tree questions. It is currently Wednesday, 9/3/2025, the 3rd of September, 2025. And we're behind, y'all. We got a bunch. Like, I don't even know. Did you count them, Lucas, by chance? I got Lucas in my... We didn't count them. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of great tree questions. And we're starting off where we left off last week. Check it out. We've got Madeline Kate Schoenberger. Thank you so much for your inquiry here at 7:12 p.m., Madeline. Looks like you are in Nowheresville. Missouri. What's up? Help. I got this red bud a few months ago, and I've been noticing the leaves looking like this. Some with holes in them. I noticed the bottom of the tree today and wasn't sure what to think. I don't know anything about plants or trees. Hey, that's my job, not yours. And that's why we're here, is to teach you, Madeline. So glad you're here. Great question. I'll tell you a couple things. First of all, we need more pictures. That really helps for those of you listening. Take some close, some far away, some full canopy, some partial canopy, especially of the regions that you're most concerned with. Looks like you've got some fungal pathogens going on here. I will say this, the root flares are buried. That's no good, Madeline. You got to get those exposed. Use a chisel and hammer, maybe some little pruning shears, and just trim some of that away. This is not your problem. This is not, well, it is your problem. It's not a problem caused by you. This was a problem done by the nursery. They done messed it up, just like nurseries often do. Also, I got some good friends that do it right. Yeah, so there's some great ones out there, and I like to do business with them and work with them. So unfortunately, they left the root flares buried. That is like right in there. It's ANSI Z60.1, and that's ANSI is American National Standards Institute, by the way. They codify how to do trees right at the nursery, and this was done wrong. I would be willing to bet money that you probably planted it in a planting hole that is too shallow. Here's the rule, y'all. Let's go full screen mode. Madeline, this is all for you. All right, so whenever you plant a tree, you've got a tree here. You've got a planting container that it came in, usually something like that. So most people, when they plant a tree, they plant it in a hole that's slightly bigger than the planting container. But ANSI A300 standards for tree care and planting specifically state that it's got to be 2 to 3 times the diameter of the actual planting container. So if you got a 12-inch container, you want a good solid 12 inches on the outside to the right and a good solid 12 inches on the outside to the left. But if you don't do that, there's actually some really cool amendments that you could do. So let's go back over here. We're going to go to our YouTube channel. I actually did a video specifically for this. It's a technique called radial trenching, and it's a wonderful technique that really helps with things. Is essentially what you're going to do is create little radial trenches, just like it sounds. You're going to dig some trenches that radiate away from the trunk of the tree, starting where the edge of the root ball was. This is the video right here. You're going to look at, meanwhile, the weeds are thriving. So that's what I want you to look for, is go check out that video. That should be a great wealth of resources for you. That's going to be a good start. The other thing you can do is you can give it some biostimulant treatments. Yeah. Oh, man. Such great, smart people coming in on this. So Kristen Hammond is a competition tree climber. She's awesome. Guy Mayer is somebody I personally look up to. He is a professional amongst professionals. Trunk damage looks like weed whackers. If you remove the mulch and dirt until you find the first root growing off the trunk, you will get some useful help. I think that's absolutely spot on. Let's see what else I got. So another thing you want to look for are these root flares. Make sure that they're exposed. You want the tree, again, let's go full screen here. You want the tree to flare out at the base. That is so critically important. Star, gold glitter, whatever you got to do. Make sure those are exposed. You want it to flare out nice. Oh, I thought I hit full screen there. What's up? So you're looking for those root flares. You want it to flare out. So you've got to get rid of some of that soil, mulch, dirt, compost, whatever it happens to be. Get it out of there. And what you're probably going to find is these little girdling roots that have come up for air and have wrapped around the trunk there. You've got to snip those. Make sure it's not going to be too much. If you find some big ones, maybe reach out to me and we can help guide you. But yeah, essentially you've got to get those root flares exposed. That is so critically important, Madeline. So hope that helps. And we are, hold on, sending you this link and then we're moving on. Hey, by the way, for those of you that are new here, thank y'all so much for being a part of this group. Check this out. I could just keep scrolling. I just keep. Hey, what's up, JK? How deep do you dig the root ball down? Actually, you want to keep it about a little bit. You want the root flare. That's a great question, JK. Thank you for that. That's a really great point. You actually want the root flare to be slightly above, like 1 to 3 inches, not too much, slightly above the soil terrain. So you've got. Hold on, I'll get this eventually, I promise. So if you've got the soil grade is here, I'm going to go slightly above that. You can actually build a mountain. I'm not a fan. I would much rather see this type of scenario than I would see the tree buried too deep. And there's so many reasons why. The main reason, though, is those root flares have to be exposed, and the tree will adapt to that raised terrain. I've seen so many trees over the years with like massive roots, all this big net and web of roots all around the base of the trunk. I'm perfectly okay with that. That the tree is too, by the way. So going too high is way better than going too low. But I've got to actually, maybe I'll show that later on. But we're crunched on time today for show. But yeah, I've seen some things, y'all. I've seen them where they're raised like 3 or 4 feet above the ground. That's not good either. But the main thing is you want to go slightly above, not slightly below. That's way better. So we are moving on, y'all. Thanks for the great question, Madeline. Anonymous asking, hello, seeking expert opinions. Hey, that's me too. That's why I hire people to help me in my inadequacies. Also, that's why we're here. We're the expert opinion on this fungus or blight that covers much of the leaves and branches of my magnolia tree, spread to various adjacent plants located in eastern Massachusetts. Wow, that's actually not that bad. Not nearly as bad as you think it is. They're anonymous. I can see that, y'all can't. That is called sooty mold. Sooty mold is actually really, really, really minor. So there we go. Yeah, sooty mold essentially is a fungus, you're right, that grows on, you ready for this? Insect feces. So essentially the bugs go up there and they take care of their business. They call it honeydew, or we call it honeydew, is the term of the excrement. Now, here's the thing, guys. Any bug or fungus, any bug that will attack your tree was born without a pancreas. What that means is they don't have the ability to metabolize sugars. So the sugar passes through. So they got their mouth parts. Their mouth parts are usually piercing and sucking mouth parts. And they're sucking the life out of your tree. And usually on a minor scale, it's usually not a big deal. Then they take care of their business, as biological creatures do. And all that rains down on the lower leaves. And you get fungus, this black sooty mold, growing on that honeydew. So you've got twofold problem. And I did let's see if I can find it. Crepe myrtles. Secret behind sooty mold fungus on crepe myrtles. There we go. I did a brief little short video that maybe you could check out that might be beneficial to you. But essentially, you've got a twofold problem. You got a bug problem, usually aphids or something minor like that, easy to unalive and get rid of. And then you've got the mold growing on top of that. So it's really minor. However, if it gets too extreme, then it can technically block the leaves' ability to photosynthesize, and that can become a big problem for the long-term health of your tree. I do want to point out too, you've also got for magnolia now, maybe a bay magnolia or something similar. I don't think it's like a southern magnolia or anything like that, but these bay magnolias should have a darker green tint to them. So I imagine you've got an issue with the soil, and that is causing some chlorosis problems. Chlorosis is a really fancy word that means your tree doesn't have the resources that it needs. 9 times out of 10, it's not because the nutrient or the mineral is not in the ground. 9 times out of 10, it's because it's unavailable. And essentially, it gets locked up in the soil and unavailable. So what you need to do is you need to get the microbes that are working to benefit your tree, and they exist everywhere on the planet, by the way. Mycorrhizal, you've probably heard that term. You got to get the mycorrhizal fungus working. This is my absolute favorite way to get the mycorrhizal fungus working. It is called MicroLife is the brand. It's Humates Plus, and essentially think of it as composted compost. Super concentrated carbon source that the critters, if you will, all the beneficial bacteria and microbes and fungus will thrive on. It'll create a really healthy soil environment. And it looks like maybe you've got a clay soil. It'll actually help to chemically flocculate the soil as well. Open it up and allow oxygen down there. Hope that helps, Anonymous. We are moving on. I have a sugar maple, more anonymous, being overshadowed by a Siberian elm. From what I can tell, the two trees are touching, and suddenly my sugar maple is not doing well. Could this be caused by the other tree? Yes and no. I don't know. First of all, we need more pictures. Very important to get more pictures. Oh, Lucas saying we got pictures in here. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. So I think we've actually looked at this tree, have we not? Yeah, you've got a chlorosis problem, very similar to the last problem we just looked at from other Anonymous. And, you know, I see this anonymous participant. Wait. Jeff Okuleon. That looks French and Italian, or not Italian, Irish, French/Irish, maybe. I don't know how French or Irish linguistics are. I definitely cut the elm back so the sugar can get light. Sugar maple's a long-term tree. Those will last 100 years plus, depending on where you are. So yeah, maybe. What you want to do is get them to work in simpatico, if you will, is get them to work together. Now, the maple is invariably going to grow around that and that Siberian elm and try to get sunlight. Doesn't appear to be an option. Yeah, sorry. You gotta love face webs. Mark Zuckerberg and party are not my friends. I don't like the things that they do and their control tactics. So anyways, yeah, you've got a chlorotic tree. It's not touching. The touching of the trees is not what's causing the problem. The soil environment combined with the lack of sunlight is what's causing that chlorosis. So very important that you do a little bit of pruning on the Siberian elm, but not so much that it's going to harm the tree. The most important thing is make sure your tree's getting nutrients, and you got soil right around the root flares buried. So you got to get those root flares exposed. It's so critically important. If you can get that jasmine or whatever that ground cover is removed, that would help a lot, quite a bit as well too. So hope that helps, Anonymous. We are moving on. Other Anonymous, y'all quit being anonymous. Just show yourselves. Like, it's weird. I feel so weird talking to you guys. All right, so y'all didn't see that. I came home today after being gone for 4 days to my blue spruce looking like this. It had no visible signs of dying, unaliving, or damage when I left. It's right by my front door, so I notice it daily. Both trees next to it look healthy, as do several other blue spruce on my property. These trees are watered deeply. Slow hose trickle for 12 to 24 hours, moved all around the drip line 1 to 3 times per month. Y'all, okay, I don't know who you are, Anonymous, but that is like textbook. That's how it should be done. If you got rain, don't water at all. 1 to 2 inches of water per soil volume, or per soil surface area is what you want. So this is like, well done. Slow trickle is the way to do it. My first suspicion was lightning because it appears all Needles were green when they dropped, and they're around the tree in about 10-foot radius. This tree unalived very suddenly, but no other signs of lightning strike, like burns, cracks, broken branches, etc. There are no obvious signs of animal or insects girdling the tree. There's no sap leaking out anywhere. I can see. I'm in Southwest Colorado. And my question might be, do you have enemies? Do you have people that don't like you that maybe could have done that? Because that is, if what you're describing to me is true, that sounds like some sort of just instantaneous, something changed, somebody did something, and it rapidly declined. Now, I want you to check around there too and see maybe if there's like some damage around the bark or some exit wounds. Like look for little tiny, teensy tiny holes all around the trunk, and maybe some of the larger branches. Occasionally, that's an issue. This to me looks like somebody poisoned the tree and it unalived very suddenly. I've seen things like that, and it's crazy, but y'all would be shocked and surprised. What's that? The Trady Oak recently, like world famous tree. All of a sudden, a guy came in and poisoned it. But you know what? I'm looking here. This looks like before. Am I reading that right, Lucas? This looks like. Where am I? This looks like maybe a before photo. I think you had something going on in advance. So it has a weird green tint to it compared to the soil all around. That I think that's the needles. That's a good observation, JK. I think it's the needles that fell to the ground. I'm not 100% certain. The root flares are exposed. Maybe. Let's see. Hard to tell. It's kind of a sketchy photo. If you can give me some more clear photos, that'd be good. Anonymous. Tag that person. Thea. Lucas, if you don't mind. How much do you water if you pull a branch and shake it? Does anything fall out? Good questions, Christine. Thank you again for all your help. All right, so we're moving on. This is concerning another post I've been asking about, this poor oak tree that has the symptoms, and I will send a picture. I could not add it on my original, so I'm kind of starting over. We had a big ice storm this winter. Actually, that looks like it could be ice storm damage. That's a, yeah, Miss Ann, that is a really good point. I'm glad you added that. I think we have plenty of rain, but this is how it came out. When all the leaves came out, we were having a drought now, and I am watering it. But it just came this way in the spring. It never did have leaves on the outside. I forgot to mention that it was like this first thing in the spring. That's not good. We had a huge ice storm, so I feel like, where are you at? I'm saying, I don't know. It's not in a drought position, but it came out like this when it put out its leaves out. I forgot to mention that, and I think it's super important. I think you're right. That's super important. Great details. Thank you for adding to that. And most people are saying girdling, in which case I think we need to dig around the bottom and do some other things, which I've forgotten, but I can't find it again. Thank you. Sorry I made this mistake. Hey, don't worry about it, Ann. I appreciate. Yeah, ice storm, tip dieback, tree will probably be fine, but it definitely took a hit. I think I'm agreeing with Michael here, Gabriel's, and yeah, I think you had a little frost damage. That's very common with trees like that. That's what I was wondering when we started looking at that post originally, Miss Ann. What's up, Adam? It's great to see you there, buddy. Ha, that's funny. Sorry, we got a little people adding on here. Yeah, Adam Minisquero. He's a I used to do all this new age weird stuff like fire walking and stuff like that. Adam's a fellow fire walker. I've walked on fire like 750 some odd times. Also, I repented of that and turned back to Jesus, who says, don't make your sons pass through the fire. That literally is what I did. Anyways, yeah, I think you've got a general frost damage stress. That will absolutely cause that, Miss Ann. Ingi, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's what happened. This is abiotic in nature. Whenever you see, guys, here, public service announcement, y'all, whenever you see whole canopy damage like that, or canopy on like half the canopy that like half the canopy is damaged, words and stuff, typically that's going to be abiotic. Some sort of salt damage, some sort of herbicide damage, some sort of frost damage, some sort of just general root restrictions. Sometimes you'll get girdling roots that'll cause half the tree to decline and unalive and all that. So generally, when you see large scale problems like that, it's going to be abiotic in nature. A meaning not, and biotic obviously meaning living organism. So yeah, I think that's exactly what is going on. I'm really glad you mentioned that. That is really helpful, Miss Han, and I appreciate your just being a part of this group. So keep on keeping on. What you can do is add some of this stuff. That's going to be just a general health upgrade, and see if that helps. So yeah, the main thing is make sure it's getting a little bit of water, not too much. Most people overwater. Not a fan of that. And but if you give it that Liquid Humates Plus, that's a great resource to just give your tree some extra resources, help it to recover from all that stress. Just like humans, like sometimes we fall down and go boom and we get injured and we have to recover. And that takes a lot of resources from our body. So it's really important. The same thing with illness is, you know, they call it flu season. In reality, it's overeat, overdrink, overstress, overspend season. We get stressed out and our bodies shut down and the pathogens take over, and trees are the exact same way. So hope that helps, Miss Ann. Thank you so much for being a part of this group. And I've loved this conversation. Keep on keeping on. Let me know if we can help further. All right. So Steve is asking, watering an old oak grove in the middle of nowhere, gutted by termites, but still standing. I'm wondering how I can help keep this grove alive. Watering 50 gallons every 7 to 10 days at the drip line, besides dechlorinating. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, chlorine is actually a necessary micronutrient that all trees need, but in excess, it is actually a salt, and it can pull nutrients and moisture out of the tree. So great call, dude. I love that. Way to go, Mr. Master Naturalist over here. I've heard adding organic unsulfurated blackstrap molasses is good for the terrain/biome. It absolutely is. I've also considered adding both the molasses and a handful of local specific dirt to reinoculate the... Oh, you're speaking my language, bro. I love that. Any other suggestions? Avoid pH balance concerns. You can always do a soil test to see what's down there and what's available to the tree. But man, I think you're on the right. You're absolutely on the right path. This is maybe the only thing I might add to what you're doing. But yeah, dude, I love it, Steve. Reach out to me, man. It sounds like you're really on the right path. And yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, and I was just talking to the League City, or like the forester here, the arborist for the city of League City. League City is like 200,000 people, not Houston, obviously, not 4 million or whatever Houston is. But she is actually won, her name's Heather McKnight. She's won awards for some of the work that she's done with League City trees. And they've got some awesome 200 to 400-year-old trees all over the downtown district. And we were talking about that is feed the soil and you feed the tree. So very, very important, y'all. Feed the microbes, feed the soil, and you've got a healthy tree. Generally speaking, there are exceptions and there are pests and pathogens that will come in and wipe out a whole species. All right, we're moving on. Andrew's asking, hey, group. That's all I see. Recently took down an old red pine in Ontario, Canada, don't you know? But just on the southern border of it, the face cut from the top 15 to 20 feet of it shows this. Can anyone explain what I'm seeing here, please? Yeah. Oh, man, look at that. That's brilliant. Blue stain fungus. So here's something that we don't talk about enough either. Is whenever you get pine bark beetles, and I think pine bark beetles maybe were a vector here, vector being a transporter of bad things. Blued pine, I don't know what that means. Holy cow, you got 42 comments on here. I love it. Blue stain fungus. Hello, Guy Mayer. We've talked about Asheville, North Carolina trees before now, but now I live in Murphy, North Carolina, Turkey City, where apparently there are no master arborists. Hey, welcome to the rest of the world. I'm not an ISA. It's sort of about the photo and answers, please. Folks may not understand the question or the answers. Let's see what guys. Hi, Susan. I was out beyond Bryson City a couple of months ago, and I was wonderful. By the way, Guy Mayer is a legend in the industry. He would never, ever, 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 ever admit that, but he's an ASCA member like me and a registered consulting arborist and one of the most brilliant arborists I know. And we're just glad to have him as a part of this group. Okay, so he's saying I was out of Bryce. As far as these pages go, usually I'm with you. I don't understand the question. That's funny. So they got a whole conversation going on there, but really glad to have you here, Guy, and thanks so much for all that you do. So yes, blue pine caused by fungus. So there's some layman's terms in here I'm seeing, but essentially pine bark beetles probably started the damage, and what they do, they will often introduce a blue stain fungus that can further restrict the vascular tissue of the tree. Think of clogged arteries for humans is when we eat too much junk food. That's what this fungus is it? But it's actively growing, so that's not good. So essentially, if you got pine bark beetles, you often have to treat for fungal pathogens as well. So hope that helps, Andrew. Looks like you got some great comments and suggestions there, and I think most of them are on point. Surprisingly, actually. All right, Austin's asking, what can I do to help this dogwood tree? Man, I don't know. We need better pictures. You got some fungus. I'm gonna assume. Oh, you got that Asiatic lily. That's not good. That's a weed. And those are invasive too, by the way, you guys. Is it the rings everyone's looking at? What do you mean by that, JK? What do you mean? I'm curious. I don't quite understand the question. Yeah. So that you could see how deep the vascular tissue of this pine goes. By the way, also on a deciduous tree, most of the time, the only living vascular tissues on the outer 1 to 2 layers. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the clarification. On pines, conifers, spruce, fir, and bears, oh my, a lot of times you can have up to 12 layers are actually vascular transport tissue. And so pines are really unique in that. Conifers are really unique in that. And so it looks like a fungal pathogen was introduced, probably, like I said, by the vectors. Yeah, is it the blue ring thing? Yes. So blue ring fungus, blue stain fungus. Let me ask the robots. Hold on. What's the specific epithet that causes blue stain fungus in pines? Distributed by the vector pine bark beetles. Did y'all hear that? No. Blue stain fungus. Ophistomole. Oh, what? That's interesting. Ha! Here we go. Great question, JK. That is awesome. I love these kind of questions, you guys. Forces me to, what's that? Stump, get it? The Arborist. That's the joke. We used to do a radio show. Actually, I still do, kind of, not nearly as often, but I used to get on about twice a month and talk trees with people. I loved it because I'd get these questions come in rapid fire and I got like 10 seconds to answer, not enough information to answer properly. It's a really nice challenge for me. But okay, getting back to Austin's question. Austin, I think you've got a like a fungal issue. This is a poorly planted tree. You've got to have those root flares exposed. You probably planted it in a really narrow planting spot in the soil. You've got to go wide 2 to 3 times the width of the planting container that it's grown in. And I'll reference you to this video that we did as well, because it's you know, I'm biased, but it's actually one of my worst videos. I hate this video, but it's got good information in it. So yeah, that's a good point. Dogwoods do like partial shade as well. I think you got a planting issue more than anything. Remove grass, add some mulch, but not too much. Dogwoods are naturally found in the understory. Generally do not grow well in full sun or poor soil. Yeah, you got to get your drainage doing better, Austin. I think I can't really tell much from the photos, though. That's really important, you guys. Whenever you're posting questions, make sure you get some up close, far away, plenty of photos. Don't just post one photo and think we can interpret the rest. I'm really good at what I do, and also I'm biased. Also, I'm only human, and I'm not a prophet, and I'm not a mind reader. So hope that helps. But yeah, not trying to be a jerk either. I love you guys and appreciate the questions, but we just like follow the pinned post, you guys. We got this great pin post up there. By the way, this is crazy, y'all. 2451. That's as of now, basically. And 569 for y'all mathematicians out there. That's well over 3,000 people. And we just started this less than a year ago, you guys. This is really exciting. And I really appreciate all of y'all being here. But let me go through here. I want to see this because we got this pin post here. Welcome, everyone. My wonderful bride, the love of my life, has put up this nice pin post. It says, please include these photos in your post. A picture of the lower trunk and the roots, picture of the overall canopy, a closer of the picture of the leaves if they look abnormal, and clear photos of any specific problem areas. Also, list the tree species if you know it. I know we don't. Sometimes that's my job. Lastly, please include any important details that could affect the health of the tree, etc. I don't know what X means, but etc. I'm assuming if it went through a hard freeze, drought, flood, lightning, close proximity construction, recent fertilization, or other chemical applications. And y'all, that really helps because sometimes we get into this and I don't know. I don't have enough information to accurately answer your questions. So let's check this one out. No. That's it. That's all I got for you, Randy. The answer is no. It is not okay to cut that so your tractor can safely fit through it. So your tractor can fit through it. No, I think you would do significant damage. And no, I don't agree with that. Also, Michael O'Rourke. Sorry, I disagree. Yeah, compression damage on that side of the tree. Also, it can create a perfect breeding ground for fungal pathogens as well. So, yeah, I would leave that alone if you can. If anything, take out one of those fence posts, move it about 3 feet back if your neighbor's okay with it. Yeah, that's a great question, JK. So JK is asking if that tree okay? That bark is green. That's lichen. Yeah, I'm not opposed to algae, moss, lichen, things like that. A lot of times those can actually increase the biotics of the tree, and it can be a good thing. So lichen is a good thing. It's a symbiotic relationship between algae and mold, and they're actually creating a really, really nice biologically diverse environment there. So yeah, not a big deal. Algae's good. That's probably the north side we're looking at. Very typical. And that's one that I did not learn in arboriculture. I learned in Boy Scouts. So way back in the good old days. It's like a week ago, I think. All right, Anja, is this aspen tree disease? Should we remove it? If yes, when and how? That's a great question. No. And you sure it's an aspen? It looks like a birch, maybe. You guys tell me. Is that a birch or an aspen? I don't know aspens that well. Oh yeah, that's aspen. You're right. Is it okay? Yes, that mark will be compartmentalized by the tree. You can actually see that the tree is compartmentalizing actively right now. That's all is a wonderful thing. I love that. It shows me that there was some sort of mechanical damage or some sort of fungal pathogen or beetle or whatever that unalive that tissue, but the tree is doing a wonderful job. I actually don't see any exit wounds or anything like that. So Anya, ich spreche ein bitte Deutsch. That's how bad it is. I started learning German and it's a cool language, but I just don't practice enough. So yes, I think it's fine. Now, what I will say, Anya, is you've got to expose the root flares of that tree. That's so critically important because it's suffering right now. Anytime you got the root flares buried, that's going to be, yes, great point. JK, spot on. You're learning and I love it. Keep that up. Buried root flares, though. You're absolutely right. Ich spreche ein bitte Deutsch. Schönes Wetter heute, nicht wahr? It's beautiful weather, isn't it? Also, it's like 100 degrees outside right now for me. Burning up. I got the fan on me too and everything. It's still hot in this room. This is the western facing side, which I got to put these blinds up. I got those little blinders that shade it a little better. So hope that helps, Anya. Yeah, you gotta get those root flares exposed. And again, I'm gonna push this this product that we sell a little bit. But Lucas, did you mark that one? It doesn't show on my end. Ah, yeah, you did. You did. You're awesome. Yep. Yeah, I think it's fine. Spray that and hold on one second. Let me do this too. I'm gonna give you this stuff. You know, a tree is genetically programmed to seal these wounds, you guys. It really is. And so 9 times out of 10, if you leave it alone and just give the tree what it needs, it's gonna do just fine. However, if you want to increase the compartmentalization rate, there are some great products out there on the market. I love this Soil and Plant Energy, and I love this Humates Plus. Put the Humates Plus in the soil, put this directly on the wound and in the soil. That's going to feed the tree, feed the microbes, create a healthy environment so that you don't have fungal problems later on. So yeah, try those out. Give them a shot and let me know how it goes. So appreciate the great question. Kristen's asking, this is a beautiful sequoia tree on Vancouver Island. Y'all know what's really cool is sequoia trees don't grow naturally in Vancouver. Now, my question is it a, that's great. Aerial analysis. Dawn redwoods are they're in the same family. They are planted all over the place. We don't understand why it looks terrible. This brown dead stuff is all the way through. What can be done to not lose it? Now, we talked about, you guys, abiotic stressors and abiotic problems. Now we're getting into biotic. So the difference is when you see it isolated to individual limbs or branches or portions of the canopy, a lot of times that can be biotic. Now, I will say this, it's perfectly natural for any type of cedar, conifer, spruce, fir, whatever, anything in the evergreen type family, anything that has needles versus leaves. It's very normal for the interior growth to unalive, turn brown. I get that call all the time. I got unalived tissue in my tree. And it's like, yeah, but that's normal because as those leaves and needles are not getting sunlight, they actually cost the tree resources. So the tree gets rid of it. So it stops losing resources. So that can actually be not a bad thing. But yeah, I think that's one of those we're going to have to take a much closer look at. Let me send you the link to my, to sign up for a digital arborist consultation. Kristen, we can always take a look at this individually and check it out and see exactly what's going on. What are you doing, FaceWebs? I reckon it's flagging, stress for dry condition that we've had here on the island this summer and many recent years. All of the growth tips are green and perfectly fine. That's what I'm seeing too. But if you want a second opinion, then hit me up. We can always do a digital arborist consultation. And maybe get a closer look at it. JK is asking, is it safe to remove the limbs or leave them? I'm a naturalist. If it's not hurting anything, hold on, JK. I'm getting your question. I just saw that I got bunny trailed. Sorry. This is what it looks like at first glance, but a close look is crucial to confirm. I think that's unaliving. I think you've got something minor attacking the tree. But the question JK is asking, is it safe to remove the limbs or leave them? Yeah, unalived tissue is completely separated from the rest of the canopy. So absolutely, if you got unalived tissue, feel free to get rid of it. Deadwood is the proper term, but I just got flagged by Facebook and YouTube for even saying that, you jerks. So not you, JK. Face webs and tubes of you. They're the jerks. But yeah, no, I think it's perfectly safe to remove those unalived tissues. That's not going to hurt the tree in whatsoever unless you do a very pitiful job. So great question though. Anytime you got unalived tissue, it is fair game. Get rid of it, although it's not necessary unless you've got a structural issue. So yeah, isn't that lovely? I gotta watch my own words. I can't even, like, whatever happened to freedom of speech, you guys? Anyways, moving on. Kyle's asking, Red Oak, I'm assuming, in Indiana does not smell? Oh, okay. So you're talking bacterial wetwood or something similar. Doesn't smell. Right on. I understood you. I got you, bro. Curious as to what you think it might be and what can be done about it. So if it's not smelling, then realistically, Kyle, I think you got a bacteria or fungal pathogen. So that is what we call a bleeding wound canker. Bleeding wound canker is not an official diagnosis. It is a blanket terminology, just like saying you done got sick. So essentially what that is a fungal pathogen that is blocking the vascular tissue. So let's go through this real quick because there's two types of fungal pathogens out there. There's the wood decay fungus, and this is like blanket terms again. Within fungal wood decay fungus, there's soft rot type fungus, brown rot type fungus, and white rot type fungus. All of them do slightly different things, but essentially what they're doing is they're eating the vascular, or they're eating the structural tissue that makes a tree, the wood that we build our houses out of, essentially. The other type of fungal pathogen is what we're seeing here. That is what we call a vascular wilt fungus. Vascular wilt fungus essentially clog the arteries. So on the outside of each tree is millions, or at least thousands, of all these little tubes that run up the tree. And so inside of that tube, you've got what we call parenchyma cells. Parenchyma cells are essentially like little pumps. They're kind of oriented like this, and they're all connected to one another. Yeah, we're getting really deep here on the tree biology. So parenchyma cells are essentially little pumps. They will pump fluids and nutrients and sugars up, and they will pump them down also. So what happens is the vascular wilt, the not the wood decay fungus, the vascular wilt fungus will get in there, and they will grow their happy little fungal butts, and they will take over the vascular tissue of the tree, and they will block that tissue and prevent nutrients from being transported up the tree and down the tree. And so what happens is pressure starts to build up, and you get these bleeding wound cankers. So that's very common with things like Phytophthora, Fusarium, even Ipoxylin can cause this kind of stuff. But the most common one I see is Phytophthora when it looks like that. So what you want to do, get with your local agriculture extension and make sure to send a sample off to them. See what they say it is, because most likely they're going to don't you dare go with that. I created, it's basically a list of all the all the local agriculture extensions in America. You're in Indiana, just scroll down to Indiana, find your people, call them or email them, and they'll get the ball rolling. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Here's the thing. All of these guys are a bunch of tree and plant nerds. We don't get out much. Like, y'all, seriously, we do. Oh my goodness, JK, you're awesome. Hold on, we'll get to that. That's brilliant comment and that adds a lot of value to this. I appreciate that. So hold on one second. Going back to that. So just go through this list. Find Indiana. Where are you at? If I can figure out my ABCs. Indiana website. It's with Purdue. Purdue runs the agriculture extension there. Give them a shout. They'll give you your local county extension office. You want to talk to those guys? They're all a bunch of plant and tree nerds, and they love getting the opportunity to teach one of us idiot humans like you and me. So give them a shout. Most of them are cool as cucumbers, and like I said, they're just itching to teach this stuff because they're usually PhDs and really, really, really smart people that want to share the knowledge and wealth that they have. Hey, JK is adding a really, really great point to this, and thank you so much for that, JK. That's awesome. But rocks around the tree, that absolutely can contribute to the stress. And let me give you a little video here, rocks. By the end of these things, I almost always have like 40 different tabs open. I freaking love it because we're just going through all these. But thank you so much for that. That's a really, really great point, JK. This is one of these decades that'll load. Y'all, Xfinity sucks, by the way. Excuse my language. That is our only option in this neighborhood. Brand new neighborhood. What's up, Sprouting Arborist? Great to have you, buddy. Y'all notice I got a lot more energy on these afternoon live streams than I do on the Thursday night evening ones. I'm just so tired by that point. Usually I've done like 2 or 3 arborist reports, maybe had conversations with some attorneys, maybe been out in the field looking at trees all over the place. So it's just like, it's a crazy tree life we lead. So yeah, that's a really great point, JK. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Rocks are not good. So if you can get rid of them, please do. Also, by the way, I'm just going to leave this with you. I think it's Ryan, right? Ryan. Kyle! I'm sorry, dude. My bad. Where you at? This stuff. This is going to create a new growing environment for your tree and start to what you've got is a soil pathogen. So Phytophthora, if it's what I think it is a water mold fungus. What that means is it is a think of like black mold. Aspergillus is one. I'm drawing a blank on the specific. Anytime you get flooding or high rain periods, a lot of times you'll get these guys transfer from one plant to the other. It's really a big problem. It causes sudden oak decline in western side of the United States, and it's really, really bad. So Phytophthora is a nasty one. I see it maybe 60 to 80% of the homes that I go to on a daily basis here locally in Houston. Very bad stuff. But the not smelling tells me it's probably not bacterial, probably that vascular wilt disease. So sorry, there's my bunny trail for the day. We're moving on. Do y'all help with palm trees? Yes, Mexican heart palm, located in Milton, Florida. And I know the palm leaves unalive off as it grows, but I have a fair amount of yellow on the new growth. That's not good, man. That could be like palm phoenix decline. Let's see if I can maybe identify this. That almost looks like Texas Phoenix palm decline. It could be Fusarium. It could be Ganoderma. I don't think it's Ganoderma. That's funny. Oh yeah, you got some disease going on there. Yeah, so I think you're in Florida. I don't know Milton, but you're in Florida. It looks to me like maybe some sort of fungal pathogen. It could be. It's not lethal bronzing. It's not Texas Phoenix palm decline. That would be more starting on the tips and individual frond leaves, little leaflets of the frond. Oh man, this drying my eyes out like crazy, you guys. Yeah, it looks like you got some kind of vascular wilt fungus, but it's too early to really tell. That would be another one of those. By the way, the University of Florida has a great. Here's another one. Florida. Where are you at, Florida? University of Florida, IAF extension. So you could see here on my screen, that's the Florida. University of Florida is awesome, by the way. Y'all have some incredible palms, the imposter trees. JK, that's amazing. Yeah, so the joke is dinosaur grass, right? So palms are actually, I love that, imposter trees. So palms are in a class of plants called monocotyledons. Mono being one, cotyledons being seeded. And so my first impression, it's buried too deep. I agree. I dig around and try to let it breathe. To me, that looks like water issues more than anything, Josh. You've got a drainage problem is what you've got. I don't know what the heck this ring around it is, but that doesn't look good. So I don't know if that's sand. Maybe you herbicided it to get rid of some of the grass. But To me, it doesn't look like any specific pathogen. I could be wrong, so it'd be good to reach out to your local ag extension. Just posted it there. Did you get it? Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. U.S. Agriculture Extensions. Find the Florida one. Find the University of Florida Extension and get in touch with them, because I think it's right. I think this is all abiotic. I don't think there's any fungal pathogen that's really critically just unaliving it very rapidly. Like I said, like the Texas Phoenix pollen decline or otherwise. But, I could be wrong. And so it's worth taking a look at. Lethal bronzing. That's the other one. It's worth taking a look at. But, yeah, I think you've got a planting issue more than anything. Palm roots like to spread out and go 12 to 18 inches deep. Not a very deep-rooted tree. No, they're not. Yeah. Oh, that's one thing we could do is talk about radial trenching. Radial trenching might come really in handy here. Get shareable link. Am I doing okay on time, Lucas? We got about another few minutes. So let's go like 2 or 3 more, huh? That puts us only a week back. This is a great question, y'all. This is like, okay, pet peeve of mine, you guys. I hate the term oak wilt. I hate it because 99.99% of the time people come to me with questions. Is this oak wilt? It's not. What happens is every freaking spring, the media guys need a good story to publish. So they find some idiot arborist locally, doesn't matter where you are, and they get them to say, oak wilt is coming, the sky is falling, whatever. And so what happens, they publish this article about oak wilt, and it's like 9 times out of 10, it's not oak wilt, guys. We pretty much have a great control over oak wilt. It's spread about 2% of the time, 2 to 4% of the time by the tittled beetle. Sometimes that's a real thing. That's why you should spray your trees whenever you're pruning in an oak wilt infested area. But very rarely is it oak wilt. And what I'm looking at here, Kristen, you do not have oak wilt. That is not any symptom even closely related to oak wilt. That to me looks like a water-related fungal pathogen. Maybe too much water, maybe too little. It could be one or the other. I need more pictures to really give you a great example or great understanding. And of course, if you want to, we can always do a digital arborist consultation. We can get on the phone, figure out exactly what's going on with it, and see what to do moving forward. Make sure that tree stays healthy and thriving. It looks like a young tree, but y'all, do not worry about oak wilt. 99 times out of 100, it is not freaking oak wilt. Oak wilt is like so rare. It's also, you're in Central Texas, so it really is a concern there. Yeah. Sprouting arborist, yeah, you do. You need to learn about oak wilt and other oak diseases. There's actually through the ISA, there's a specific class, and yes, I don't think it's herbicide damage, JK. Yeah, I don't think so. To me, that looks like water issues. Newly planted tree, looks like a young tree. You've got drainage problems or too much water, one of the two or a combination thereof. But yeah, so sprouting arborist, let me see if I can find it. ISA-Texas oak wilt. There's actually an oak wilt certification. Let's see. I clicked it. I done clicked it. Yes, check out these guys. This is from 2016, so this is like way outdated. But this, I know ISA Texas, we deal with oak wilt quite a bit, so they do have a pretty robust program. There's actually a couple guys that I know personally that are ASCA registered consulting arborists as well, that are really doing a lot of heavy research. Humble opinion, better research than ISA Texas and the Texas AgriLife Extension. Humble opinion. Y'all didn't hear that from me. I guess it's on the internet, so it's public record now, but I don't think it's oak wilt. And answer your question, Kristen, I think you've got a water or drainage issue. I'd be willing to bet money this would be a great thing for you to do. Where are you at? Get shareable link. Give these guys a shot. That's me, by the way, on YouTube. But check it out. Yeah, that's some sort of fungal pathogen, but it looks more water related than anything. So it could be too much, could be too little. We'll really have to do a deeper dive and figure that out. That's Ganoderma. Stacy's asking, getting an arborist to come out to advise is currently over a month. Is there anything we should do in the short term? Having I've read this is quite damaging to oaks and it doesn't respond to fungicide. You're absolutely right. It doesn't. What it does respond to is rapid growth. Something no good is going inside there. However, I'm not familiar with that fruiting body. I am. That's Ganoderma. Like 100% hands down. You could start to see the red coming in here. That's the new blooms. They're that white kind of puffy look. And it could be Ganoderma lucidum. It could be Ganoderma applanatum. I don't know. But what you can do is you can most certainly send off to your local agriculture extension, excuse me. AgriLife is here in Texas. You could send off to them and send a sample. What you want to do, make sure you're not like knocking that, because that is the fruiting body. That is literally contains trillions, if billions, if not trillions of spores, that if you start like moving that around, all those spores are going to release and spread everywhere else. So don't do that. Take a plastic bag, wrap it over it, keep it encapsulated as much as you can, seal it off. There's my daughter waking up, so I'm going to have to go, y'all. Father of the Year award, I guess. Or I just put the snooze button on my daughter. Probably not Father of the Year award. Here's the thing about Ganoderma. If you look in all of the textbooks, it says, cut the tree down. It's dead. I did it again. It's unalived. Sorry, Lucas. Sorry, Facebook. Sorry, YouTube. Sorry, LinkedIn. If you look in all the textbooks, it says Ganoderma is a unalive sentence. But yeah, you've got something you've got some problems there. We need to take a closer look at it. What I would do is find a local guy. It takes over a month to get them, or if you want, we can do a closer inspection on a digital arborist consultation. And I get a lot of flack in the industry for saying, oh, you can't diagnose a tree over the phone. Well, sorry, but the medical industry has been doing it for like 2 decades now. I remember I had an eye infection, and like 15 years ago, I got on with a guy and he said, oh yeah, it's benign. Probably not a big deal. If you experience this symptom and this symptom and this symptom, go to the hospital immediately. So yeah, Ganoderma, all the textbooks say, get rid of the tree, but I've got trees that are 20, 40 years old that have lived, that have lived with Ganoderma for 20, 40 years plus. Some of them I inherited from other professionals. Some of them I've been managing from the beginning. And, they like, it's fine. Ganoderma, as long as you can keep the tree structurally sound, it's good. That's the main thing, is trees will compartmentalize those fungal pathogens and they will seal it off, grow around it, and move on with their life. So hope that helps, Stacy. And yeah, I'd love to help you out if we can get on a digital arborist consultation. All right, one more, and we're going to call it. Stephanie's asking, my enormous pine was damaged in a storm. Will this tree recover? Any advice is greatly appreciated. Well, I appreciate you too. Yeah. Trees that have had Ganoderma, JK, with 40 years. I took on a couple from a well-known company in the Dallas area that have been around for like 50 years. And I inherited those clients because they just didn't have time to take care of them and stopped managing them well. So those clients called me. I started managing it, and they said the same thing, is yes, we can. We've seen experientially decades of growth around Ganoderma. That's perfectly fine. The main thing, we got to make sure the tree is safe and it's not going to fall over and unalive humans or houses. Stephanie, you've got a pretty big wound there. Not going to lie. That's not ideal. But I don't see this as a unalive blow to the tree. Yeah, I've only been in tree care for 23 years. So that's just like, I'm dating myself here. That's a long time, but it's also not 40 years. So, but I have seen some things, and I've learned from some really, really awesome people over the years. So white pine removal, Jeff, that's rude. Yeah. White pines are kind of considered an invasive species. It will survive, but will not close over that womb, in my opinion. Womb. We're not talking pregnancy and birthing and stuff. It will survive, but it will not close that wound, in my opinion. Down the road, there will be issues, and there's a target, albeit only a fence, but a target nonetheless. How long ago was it damaged? Still looks healthy. I agree. I think Michael's right. Still looks healthy. Damage occurred August 15th, so it's really recent. Too early to tell. What you can do to give the tree a better fighting chance is just add some biostimulants to the mix. Again, I'll reference you to these guys. Microlife is by far my favorite brand of tree products. Really, they're plant products is what they are. But yeah, I think you're okay. I think actually there's a process in arboriculture that we're now coming to lovingly call retrenchment. And essentially what we're finding is that trees that are really, really, really stressed will start to unalive the above portions of the canopy, pull that canopy down, tighten it up, which makes it less likely to fall over. You got the same root system to support a smaller canopy. So it can actually strengthen the tree long-term. So yeah, I don't see that as we got to get rid of it right now. What I might do is on this one limb that grows up is now that's going to be a little more compromised. So you might want to do some structural pruning on that to reduce some leverage, make sure it's less likely to fall. Agreed with, I think it was Michael. Agreed that there is a target. The target would be the fence. Anytime by the no, Christopher, excuse me. Hey, great comment by the way, Christopher. I really appreciate that. It will survive. Down the road, there's less issues. There is a target, albeit only a really, really easy to replace chain link fence, but it is a target. So if you don't ever want to replace that fence, yeah, get rid of the tree. But if you want to have both, I think you're okay. I think you just need to do a little bit of weight reduction on that portion of the tree that's left on the upper canopy, and just make it a little less likely to fall over, and do some of that biostimulant treatment to give it some extra resources. But that was a disaster waiting to happen. Excuse me. Yeah, I love that. We'll get to that here in just a second, sprouting arborist. But yeah, so you've got a weak point here. So I agree. Structurally, it is an issue now. However, I don't think you need to remove it. I think you need to keep the tree, maybe put something next to it, and like just planning for the future. Because yeah, I agree. Structurally, that white pine is in a weakened position right now. That doesn't mean you got to get rid of it. I'm in a small group of people that believe that any canopy is better than no canopy. So if you've got a good canopy now, why get rid of it? You don't need to get rid of that tree. I think you're okay, Stephanie. But yeah, like I said, if you want some help on it, we can always hop on a digital arborist consultation too, and get a good plan together. But yeah, simple things are simple. Just give it some extra resources and mitigate that structural hazard a little bit. And again, it's a fence. You know, if you got to go spend $50 at Home Depot getting the right parts to replace damage that's done, probably not a big deal, not life altering. And you know, unless you're like really struggling financially. But hope that helps. And with that, I'm going to answer sprouting arborist questions. Oh, check it out. I found a 10 to 15 foot diameter. What? That is so cool. Arborist, future sprouting arborist. I love that. 10 to 15 foot diameter. That's unreal. Looked like it was retrenching. Probably for the third or fourth time. Yeah, check this out. I'm gonna do this. Candelabra trees. These are super cool examples of retrenchment. So they think, we don't know. Nobody was there. Not alive anyways. Yeah, 10 to 15 feet is freaking huge. It really is. So candelabra trees, look it up. He might be exaggerating. That's fair. I get that. So candelabra trees, they think about 500 years ago, big storm hit the West Coast and damaged these trees beyond repair, or so they modern arborists would have said. But essentially, check this out. This is nuts, you guys. Absolutely nuts. So essentially what happened is it snapped off like hundreds and hundreds of these trees right about like 5 to 20 feet high. And what happened, you can see all the brush growing there as well still. I don't know if that's current from limbs lost or whatever, but essentially what happened is that would be an extreme version of retrenchment. And essentially the tree resprouted new growth in the middle of the canopy, because trees are built for survival and they will do everything they can to survive. So they resprouted, and now you've got 200 to 300 foot tall sprouts that grew into permanent branching structures. And if you look at that woody tissue on there, guys, that's unbelievable. That is reaction wood at its finest. Every time the wind blows, It's kind of like the trees going to the gem. So as the wind moves and the wind blows and the limbs move, they're actually fracturing on a microscopic level. And then the tree's body, if you will, is replacing that tissue. It's forming, we call it reaction wood or callus wood tissue. And that is essentially tree muscle. It's like they're actually bowing down. Yeah, it's super, super cool, isn't it? Like, I just love I mean, this is what got me started and really got me fascinated. And man, I'm telling you, trees are cool, y'all. Would that be included bark? That is definitely included bark. Fortunately, they've got a whole forest around there to support them that all had the same growth patterns over time. So a lot of times, even though there's included bark, the whole forest kind of supports itself moving as one like that. So one limb starts to crack, it rests in the other canopy. Now it can regrow and re-strengthen. So yes, that would be considered included bark. Absolutely, JK. But also, God in his infinite wisdom put a lot of survival techniques built into the individual tree and into the whole forest as a whole. So Sprouting Arborist saying, the first time I saw retrenchment pruning, I thought it was topped. LOL. Yeah, no, and you're going to see that a lot moving forward as we get more sophisticated in our tree knowledge. Is a lot of guys are starting to figure these things out and realize, hey, we don't have to necessarily get rid of the whole tree. Maybe we can do some things to reduce the canopy height, work with what the tree would naturally do on its own, and artificially recreate that and start to really help to revive the tree. I just saw a flush cut on a silver maple while I'm in the car. Those jerks. That actually really is bad because you wind up cutting into the cambium tissue on the tree. And with that, we are going to call it for tonight, you guys, for this afternoon anyways. Y'all, thank you so much for being a part of this great community. Like I said, I love this group. We are pushing 3,000 people actively participating in this group. And y'all, it's just been really cool to see all the growth and all the great community that we're building. We're getting some world-class arborists come in here. Not me, some other guys that are actually, I consider them my superiors, honestly. Lindsay Purcell, Guy Mayer, guys like that. And we're getting some really awesome arborists coming in here and answering y'all's questions as well. So it's really exciting to be a part of this. And I'm just so grateful for all of you guys. Thank y'all again for being here. JK, Sprouting Arborist, thanks for hanging out with me today. And y'all just keep up with the great questions. We'll be back at it tomorrow night from 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 6 o'clock for those of you on the West Coast, 9 o'clock for those of you on the East Coast, and somewhere in between for the rest of you. And y'all stick around, and we're doing some cool things here. So really appreciate y'all being here. And again, just have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye now.